What's up everyone, welcome back to the shop. Today's video we're going to do a button tutorial on the Humminbird Solix. In this video we're going to break down anywhere from beginner tips all the way up to advanced, so hopefully everybody can learn a little bit of something from this video. We're going to basically break down the main menu settings, some of the shortcuts that you can use to be more efficient on the water with your graph, and also some of the touchscreen buttons that some people may or may not know. So starting out, the Solix is a touchscreen. The Helix is not a touchscreen, but the Solix is a touchscreen, but it also has all these buttons on the side that we can use to control it as well. And honestly, if you would prefer the buttons, the Solix, you can do everything from the buttons. But sometimes it's nice to have the touchscreen as well. So starting out, it's important to note that Solix has a joystick as well as a rotary dial. And these are important because for the joystick, you can use this to move around and select whatever you want. And it actually has a push button feature where if you click like that, it will, in this case, since we're on the chart screen, it'll add a route point, which I don't want that, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that. So based on what screen you're on, you'll be able to do different things with the joystick and the rotary dial. So in chart mode, you can move the joystick around in order to cursor over to something. You can press the X button in order to go back to your current location. And the rotary dial is used on the chart screen to zoom in and out. So you can easily zoom in and out with that. And you can also zoom in and out with the plus and minus button on that chart screen. So let's go ahead and go over to a different view that I have saved in my favorites. And I'll show you how to save all these favorites here in a little bit. But so this will be a good example because we have three different screens. So as you can see, this screen here has a yellow box around it. That is the current screen that I am on. So all these settings up here, it says sonar DI. So that's my down imaging screen. Obviously it's not showing anything because I am not in the water, but that's my down imaging screen, that's my 2D, and that's my side imaging. But since this box is around it, that's my active pane. And so these are all my settings that I have up top for this active pane. So right now I have it on 450 kilohertz. I can go up there and I can adjust that accordingly. I can change the color from the top here. And also if I hit the menu button once, which is this three lines here, if I press the menu button once, it'll pull up a whole menu. I think they call it an X menu. And it's basically only this down imaging screen. And so you can use that with the touch screen. Also, if you want to, you can use this joystick over here to move up and down. So then when you're on an actual setting that you want to adjust, you can use this rotary dial to turn it left and right in order to adjust that setting. So you can see when I turn that, it'll change it based on how much I turn it. You can scroll up and down with your joystick, or obviously you can use the touch screen as well. You can take this, and sometimes it's a little touchy with your finger like this to get it on exactly what you want. So I'll use this rotary dial over here on the right and get it to be the setting that I want. But anyways, this down imaging menu, you can change anything from range, set that to whatever you want, set it to automatic, set it to manual, and then I did that too quick, but there's a little back button up top that you want to press in order to go back. If you would press the X button over here, it will do the same thing. So I'm not really going to go through all the settings on that, but you'll notice that whenever I just touch over here on this screen, now that one has the yellow box around it. And if I press the menu button, all of these settings will be corresponding to this 2D. And you'll see up top it says 2D now, and it has the settings for 2D. Same thing with the side imaging. Now I got my side imaging here, and all the settings, if I go into the menu, will be right here. Now earlier we talked about if you're in the chart mode, how if you use the rotary dial, it will zoom in and out. Well, what it does when you're on the side imaging screen is it will actually adjust your sensitivity. So you can see there in the bottom it says sensitivity, and you can adjust that. Same way with this, down imaging, you do that, it'll adjust your sensitivity. So that's a quick way. If you need to do quick adjustments on the fly, you can basically be in your sonar screen, use this rotary dial, adjust the sensitivity, and it'll go real quick like that rather than having to go into the menu and change it. That's just something, cool little feature that you could do with kind of a mixture of the touchscreen as well as the rotary dial. Another thing is if you want a full screen, so right now I have this set as my favorite, so where I have down imaging, 2D, and side imaging. Well, if I see something or if I want full screen of the side imaging, what I can do is I can take 2 fingers and I can press and hold, and when I do that, it makes it full screen. So that's pretty cool. You can do it real quick. You can get the side imaging up and press and hold it again with 2 fingers. It goes back to the original screen. And you'll notice whenever I did that, it'll have this little arrow, and I don't know if you can see that or not. There's a little yellow arrow around the box, and basically that's telling you that that's not really the main screen, like the main view that I was on. So I can go back to the original view. Now that arrow is gone. But if you click up there in the top right corner, it'll drop down the power menu, and in the power menu you can adjust your backlight. So like if you're at takeoff or something in the morning, you don't really want it to be on 10 because sometimes it's blinding. You can put it on night mode. You can actually turn your touchscreen on and off, and then it'll usually ask you if you want to confirm to disable the touchscreen. We're going to cancel. You can put your graph into standby, and in order to get it out of standby, you press the power button once. You can standby sonar. We're not going to do that. You can power off, or you can turn off your sonar pinging, or even select your sonar source. So right now I only have one sonar source to connect to, but if I had multiple ones, I would be able to select there and pick which sonar source I wanted to go off of. So anyways, we talked about this power menu. Another way to get to it without the touchscreen is to just touch this power button one time. And when you do that, it pulls up the power menu. A lot of times when I'm fishing and I go up front, I want to put my graphs into standby mode. That way I don't have the sonar pinging in the back. I don't have any interference with my front graphs. I basically want to eliminate any chance of interference. It also saves a lot of batteries whenever I have these things in standby. So to put them in standby, you can either go to that main menu and click standby, but a lot of times what I'll do, and it's a lot quicker whenever I'm in a hurry, is I'll just press this power button real quick twice. So you just double tap that real quick, it puts it into standby. You'll see these lights are still on the outside. It basically shows you that your graph is on, it's just in standby mode. So I'll come back down after I'm done fishing, I'll press that one time, and it's back up and running, and I don't have to wait for it or anything. So double tap that twice, puts it in standby mode really quick, and it's really efficient that way. We talked about the little X menu that's specific to each of the views. Let's go into the main menu, which would be if you press this menu button twice, it'll pull up the main menu. And this has got a lot more options that you can do. You can go into your sonar, chart, navigation, general, my vessel, network. So network, you can select data sources. You can view your system information and see everything about your graph. You can also look at your network information. So like right now, I don't have any of my other graphs on, but you can see it's connected to the Ethernet switch, and you can see all the other graphs that it's connected to. So that obviously restore defaults would be to reset everything back to its original defaults. General, I usually like to run my graphs on this custom. If you put it on Angler, you don't get as many menu settings, and it actually tells you that right there. It says less menu settings that don't get in the way. But I like custom because I want to be able to see all the settings that I can change. You can come in here under general and go to time and format. That's how you change your time. You can select your time zone. You can select the way the format or the date and format is. There's just a bunch of little things in here that you can change. Navigation, I don't mess with any of that stuff. Chart, so for chart, if you're going to use a Lake Master chip, you have to have this Humminbird selected and you have to use this legacy chart card. And so right now I have a Lake Master chip in there. I think it's the Southeast card, but if I put it on base map, it's only going to show the maps that are installed on the Solix, whereas the legacy chart card, it sounds weird because it's called the legacy chart card. It should say Lake Master in my opinion, but that is basically going to select the Lake Master. If you want Navionics, obviously you click on the Navionics, and you can set some of this stuff here, like the water level offset, but I prefer to change that in this screen. So what I'll do is I'll go to my chart screen and I'll push menu one time. You can change your water level. You can go to Humminbird settings and change all of your depth highlights and stuff like that. So that's usually how I change that rather than in this main menu screen. So in the main menu, we pretty much walked through that. Obviously sonar, you can go to sonar source. Like I said earlier, we only got one sonar, but that's how you select that. So another thing you can do is you can change any of these overlays, and in order to do that, what you do is you press and hold that, and you'll see this right here with the double lines shows the one that we have selected, and you can turn that off and it's grayed out. See, all these are grayed out, that's turned off. But you can go through any of these and you can change it to whatever you want. So I could change it to my time, but I want to change that back to my depth. And you can come here and select any of these and basically customize it to whatever you want, which is really nice. So now let's go and talk about how to set our views. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll press this home button, and what that does is